I want to talk about something very specific. I'll start by mentioning a tattoo artist by the name of Michelle Boten, who I think is the only person I've ever seen who can actually pull off this style of tattoo. And it's a type of tattoo called aggressive style tattoo. And unfortunately, I was not able to find the videos that I found a few years back that kind of documented what this whole tattoo style was about. So she has the aggressive style tattoo, and if you're curious, I'm pretty sure that you could find the video where she talks about her tattoos on Inked, their YouTube channel, and she goes into detail and depth about her tattoos. So yeah, she's a tattoo artist based in New York, and if you're curious about her tattoo style, what kind of tattoo artist she is, she does a lot of cartoon related tattoos, anime, just like a lot of dreamy, like very colorful tattoos that I really like. I would say it's kind of like, I can't even call it neo-trad. It's kind of like a style of its own. But anyways, like I said, she's the only one who could pull off the aggressive style tattoo, okay? Which kind of brings us into the topic that I want to talk about. So I stumbled upon this video about, I don't know if she's an alternative model. I'm not really sure. She must be like an influencer or something. Her name is Toxie Body Mod. No, her name is Toxie, sorry. And yeah, so as you can see, she got some implants, she has a nose modification, she has her tattoos, and she has some ear modifications as well. And in this video, I just wanted to ask us the question, like, what are the limitations and what are the boundaries of getting tattoos and piercings? Like, if you were to ask yourself that question. And this is why, for me personally, I am never the type of person to just jump on a bandwagon. I am never the type of person, and I really try to refrain from being the type of person to follow people off of a cliff. Because if you follow trends, you might as well just be let off a cliff. Because a lot of the times, like, trends don't really lead to anything of substance for the most part, and they're just kind of recycled throughout history, and they just keep repeating themselves. And I've been noticing a trend of people, well, this has been happening for a very long time, probably for decades at this point, where people will get these type of modifications where they will just completely disfigure themselves. And I personally think, and I'm not a very likable person, so you might disagree with what I'm about to say, but I don't think it matters. I think disagreeing could be a good thing. It might be where interesting conversations begin. So I would say that people who get these type of modifications should not be classified in the same category as people who get just your everyday tattoos and piercings. You know, I'm not talking about people who get tattoos and piercings to beautify themselves. I'm not even talking about ear modifications, because I mean, I think it's kind of cute. Might be controversial for some, but that's not what the video topic is about. I'm not talking about people who even get this type of modification. I'm talking about people who completely disfigure their face and body. And I would say that in the same way that a person might be morbidly obese, or same way that somebody might be extremely anorexic, is the same way that some people will use body modification as an excuse to mutilate themselves, basically. Because when you're super obese, your body becomes mutilated, because it has grown in a size that it shouldn't have. And when you're extremely anorexic, your body might even start to reject water. Okay, if you look at somebody like Eugene Akuni, I'm not going to get into that in this video. So I would say that people who get extreme body modifications to the point where they are cutting off their noses, I would say I would lump them into the same category as somebody who's extremely obese, but also into the same category as somebody who's extremely anorexic, into the category of anyone who mutilates their body, basically, to whatever degree you want to call it. I think there's a difference between beautifying your body and adorning your body and decorating your body. And there's a difference between that and just completely destroying yourself. I'm sorry, but cutting off your fingers, I will never ever view that as adornment or decoration. I will see that as self-harm. That's just my personal opinion. And I know we live in a world where everything goes and everything is okay, and you could just take off any limb off yourself that you want and everybody will say, wow, that's just like such a great way of self-expression to just cut off your fingers. But I don't think like that. Like, I'm sorry, but if you're cutting off your fingers, I think you should probably ask yourself, why do you hate yourself so much? Because there's clearly a difference between like just getting tattoos and a difference between destroying yourself completely. Because let me remind you that people who, for example, color their eyes the way that this guy has, this could potentially lead to blindness. So a lot of people who are coloring their eyes in this way are potentially leading themselves to blindness, and to them, it doesn't matter. To them, it's okay. And if for you, allowing yourself to go blind is okay for the sake of mutilating your body, well, I would say that's a type of self-harm. Personally, that's how I would categorize it. Now, I know this is kind of like a controversial video because a lot of people just want to like agree to say that like there's no right or wrong. We can kind of just do whatever we want and there's no limitations. But this is exactly what happens when there's no limitations. When there's no limitations, this is what people do. So there has to be a level of balance. And if you are not of the Christian thought, you might say there has to be a level of duality, of yin and yang. Or if you want to talk about it from a more like scientific way, in your body, there's a certain level of homeostasis that your body always wants to keep, right? So in life, there has to be a type of balance. And when we don't respect that certain level of balance, well, we can be either extreme. Like for me, this is not an extreme. Some of you may know Rico Zombie Boy. I don't consider that an extreme for me personally. So Rico Jeunesse is actually a tatted guy. He passed away a few years ago. I think he was only 34 actually. He was kind of young. And he's from Montreal. He featured in some music videos as well as some runway features. And he is fully tattooed. But if you really look at him, you'll notice that he has tattoos, but he didn't mutilate himself. He has his piercings, okay, and he has his tattoos. Now, for some, this may be seen as too much. Okay, for some, this may be seen as too much. For me, I wouldn't consider this mutilation. Actually, I think what he did is kind of a work of art, okay? And some Christians may disagree, but you know, I've always been more creative and artistic, and I think people should have the ability to express themselves creatively and artistically as long as they are not mutilating themselves. So I wouldn't consider this a form of mutilation. But the difference between Rico Jeunesse and somebody like Toxie is very apparent when you look at her. It's very apparent. So I would say there's a huge difference. And I know some people in the tattoo community or body modification community might disagree, but I'm of the thought, how can I say this? I just really strongly believe that there's a huge difference, and I would really I would love to see people in the modification or tattooed community to just stop pretending that things like this are okay, because they're not like when you anyways. I think I've said enough.